Brilliance Audio.
The Graveside Bar and Grill by Darynda Jones, performed by Lorelei King. 1001 Dark Nights. Once upon a time, in the future. I was a student, fascinated with stories and learning. I studied philosophy, poetry, history, the occult, and the art and science of love and magic. I had a vast library at my father's home and collected thousands of volumes of fantastic tales. I learned all about ancient races and bygone times, about myths and legends, and dreams of all people through the millennium. And the more I read, the stronger my imagination grew, until I discovered that I was able to travel into the stories, to actually become part of them. I wish I could say that I listened to my teacher and respected my gift, as I ought to have. If I had, I would not be telling you this tale now. But I was foolhardy and confused, showing off with bravery. One afternoon, curious about the myth of the Arabian Nights, I travelled back to ancient Persia to see for myself if it was true that every day Shah-Hariyar, Persian for king, married a new virgin, and then sent yesterday's wife to be beheaded. It was written, and I had read, that by the time he met Scheherazade, the vizier's daughter, he'd killed 1,000 women. Something went wrong with my efforts. I arrived in the midst of the story and somehow exchanged places with Scheherazade, a phenomena that had never occurred before and that still to this day I cannot explain. Now I am trapped in that ancient past. I have taken on Scheherazade's life, and the only way I can protect myself and stay alive is to do what she did to protect herself and stay alive. Every night, the king calls for me and listens as I spin tales, and when the evening ends and dawn breaks, I stop at a point that leaves him breathless and yearning for more. And so the king spares my life for one more day, so that he might hear the rest of my dark tale. As soon as I finish a story, I begin a new one, like the one that you, dear reader, have before you now. Chapter 1. Sorry I'm late. I didn't want to come. T-shirt often seen on Charley Davidson. When the teenage daughter of two gods asks you to keep an eye on the beautiful doctor who takes care of her merry band of misfits, no questions asked, that is exactly what you do. Not that Donovan St. James was whipped. He wasn't. He'd never been whipped a day in his life. At least, not until the two most important people in his life came into the world. First, his son, a 10-year-old with more swagger than he had any right to. And then again when Elwyn Alexandra Lore, screaming velociraptor that she was, decided to grace humanity with her presence. Before either of those entries, he never would have believed that something so tiny could render him powerless with a single glance. But Teacup ordering him around like he was somehow in her servitude was too much. If not for the fact that said doctor, a gorgeous redhead with curves that screamed slippery when wet, walked into his bar minutes after he received the odd request, he would have texted the Teacup back a hard no. He wouldn't have sent it, but he would have typed it into his phone, probably in all caps, and smirked in satisfaction before deleting it and texting instead, "When you say no questions asked." "I'm just worried about her," Elwyn messaged back. "She seems distraught." Distraught? Donovan huffed out a laugh from behind the bar and shook his head. What the hell kind of kid used the word distraught? Distraught in what way, brainiac? She shot him an eye-roll emoji, then sent, "You have to stop calling me that. I'm not a brainiac. I'm just well-traveled." That was the understatement of the century. The kid had recently slipped onto another plane and then got lost there. While her journey had only lasted 3 days here on Earth, she'd been gone for years on the plane she'd traveled while trying to find her way back home. It was a tragedy Donovan
Sample complete. Ready to continue?